That's weird. That's weird. Kind of weirding me out.
You are a sad, strange little man.
Crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird, man.
It's strange.
What's up, campers? Welcome back to episode 95 of Camp Strange. I am your camp counselor, Alex Tobin.
And I'm your other camp counselor, David Stokes.
And we're back to bring the spooky, wacky, weird, strange, and scientific, as we are men of science, as always.
Always.
And before we get into these longer stories that we have for you today, we got to catch you up on any of the weird news you may have missed in the weeks. And I have this story as, of course, naked Florida man accused of bizarre crime spree that included trying to kiss elderly women.
Oh, he's got a little granny fantasy.
Apparently, but this 23-year-old guy, Loris Pickett Jr., he got accused of how many? 19 charges in less than an hour. Might be a new world record. I know we talk about world records on this podcast, but it's pretty good. But he started his spree after he jumped on a coin machine while kicking it and punching it, and then went to the ground where he exposed himself and started screaming, "Call the cops, the dead are rising."
Oh. I mean, at least he was trying to help.
Well, he was trying to warn us, people, but I think it might have to do with something because this something of the contents of his bag, because in his bag they found a pistol, which was kind of scary. Yeah. But they also found synthetic weed, which is no good from what I've heard in the past.
Yeah, that shit's wild. That shit should not be sold.
I just don't know how any of that is made and why it's cheaper than just growing the normal weed.
From what I know, from my experience in college, I had a few friends on my college's football team. And I know a lot of them used it because it did not show up on drug tests when the university would drug test them. And the things that I heard was it was more close to salvia in a way, that it would be like a really intense thing for a very short period of time. And then it would fade away.
It just seems like it's so much harder to get your hands on than just normal weed, but I guess
oh no,
in
no,
some states
it's very easy.
Oh, interesting. I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure it's called Crantum.
What the fuck?
And I know just typical smoke shops, tobacco stores will sell it. I know at least where I'm at right now. Yeah, right where I'm at right now in Montana, there are signs that says Crantum sold here, and I've seen it in other places, and Crantum.
That's so weird.
Which I could be way wrong.
I feel like people go crazy off that shit, so I don't even know why they technically sell it. I feel like people die off of it and stuff. It's I guess you could die off of anything, but if you use too much, but still, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That it's just why is that legal? That something that you could actually overdose on, and weed, which you can't really overdose on. I don't think there's been one case of anyone overdosing on it.
Yeah.
That's illegal, and it's what the fuck. Anyway, this isn't a political weed podcast, but.
I know when I was in college, the stuff that people were smoking, it was called spice.
Oh yeah, and that actually has killed people and made them go crazy and shit like that. But just to go back to
I had a friend who smoked it, and he said it felt like there were spiders crawling all over his body.
What the fuck? Well, this guy, also he had in his bag, he had a ninja star, which is pretty cool.
Those are fucking cool.
But yeah, apparently it says at 11:35 a.m. a call came in from an elderly woman who lives a few blocks away, and said Pickett approached her in a stolen car, grabbed her hair, and tried to kiss her. Then picked up a piece of concrete and threatened to kill her. And yeah, so he has a bunch of he got 19 charges, possessing a synthetic cannabinoid.
So that's a charge, okay.
Exposure of sexual organs, aggravated assault, battery, burglary. Yeah, he stole a car. He did a bunch of stuff. Like I said, breaking world records over here. But, I don't think anybody was really hurt. And he's arrested, so I guess that's good. But it's just a good, thing to know, to maybe just go buy the normal stuff that came out of the ground instead of the synthetic stuff that was probably made with bleach or something. I don't know.
Yeah, get the normal stuff. Eat a whole watermelon and watch Avatar.
That's the biggest crime you're gonna commit, is just gaining too much weight, I guess,
Yeah.
But anyway, do you have a story for us?
So I decided to come in with one news story, because I'm afraid my story might be a little bit longer. Man with machete tattoo on face accused. You want to guess what he's accused of?
Hitting someone with a machete?
Accused of a machete attack.
I mean, it's his favorite weapon, clearly. Right?
Yeah, so a man from, of course, the Central Florida Gulf Coast area,
Hell yeah.
with a machete tattooed under his left eye, which, looking at the photo, I could see how you could think it's a machete because it's a very wide-bladed weapon. It could just be some sort of sword, just a really bad tattoo artist. But,
True.
yeah, the 25-year-old was arrested on Tuesday, charged of aggravated battery.
Yeah, he really led the breadcrumb trail right back to his face. It's hard to claim that you didn't use a machete when you have it tattooed on your face.
Yeah,
But
it says that the man swung the machete at the victim's face. In order to block the strike, the victim quickly placed their left arm in front of their face, and their forearm was struck with the blade of the machete, and the victim felt a severe pain and passed out.
no, ow, 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 ow.
And that's just kind of how the article ends.
I only want to use one if there's a zombie apocalypse, which that guy was warning us about. The dead are rising.
It's true. Yeah. Well,
Maybe they were friends.
There are better weapons than a machete when the zombies come. Machetes are not very sharp, typically.
So you're right, because I've talked about this with my girlfriend, and she doesn't like to have these conversations. But I really like to have the conversation. I'm like, what weapon would you use in a zombie apocalypse? And what people usually forget is that bladed weapons can get stuck. So
Yes.
you kind of
and you got to be close.
You want blunt objects, you maybe want like a little metallic bat. Wood bats can maybe break too, but like a little metallic, they're light, they're metal, like you can swing them fast.
I don't think you're going to beat a bow and arrow, though.
You have to be good with the bow and arrow, though.
True. But, there's no
and-
sound. You're not going to draw attention.
Yeah, you want like a crossbow, something that
No.
has a little bit more oomph.
No, because you're not. Now
You
you're
ain't
buying.
Legolas.
You're buying into all this bullshit that crossbows are great. Crossbows are not great because you know how long it takes to reload a crossbow?
Yeah, but also don't you think that I feel like you would be much more effective with like a baseball bat than you would with like a bow and arrow, especially you're like a big guy, Why are you gonna why are you gonna like switch to bow and arrow? You're not even good with the bow and arrow.
You don't know that? I'm good with a bow and arrow. Fuck you. No, man. You get a good 7 feet away, especially if there's them slow moving zombies. You get close, but not too close, so you have enough time to scooch back and get another arrow out of the quiver. And
Okay, he knows what a quiver is, people.
you line that shit up and you put one through the head. Easy peasy.
I feel like a bow and arrow is something that you pick up and maybe make your main weapon in like the third year of the apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like first 3 years, stick with the baseball bat, maybe like a little bit of like a bladed weapon, maybe some guns. But then when the ammunition starts running out, you need years to prepare to be like, if I'm in a tough situation and I pull out the bow and arrow, I know I'm not going to miss or just hit him because you got to hit him in the head too.
Well,
Or you're
yeah.
just filling them with arrows. So
Or at
you
least
gotta be
take a
pretty
kneecap out.
precise. Yeah, I guess.
But
still gonna crawl after
the
you,
beauty of a bow and arrow is you can pull that arrow out and you got another arrow right there,
Yeah, you got to be in a secure place if you want to do the bow and arrow, but you can't be on the ground next to them. Anyway, this is really getting off. It's really getting. Anyway, let's move to the next story over here. As former eBay employees sent cockroaches bloody pig mask to a Massachusetts couple in harassment campaign. So just to tell you real quick, apparently these 6 eBay employees and some were executives or something like that. There was this couple that like had a online blog about like e-commerce and stuff, and they like talked shit about eBay, and the eBay executives found out and read their like article and basically like harassed them for like the past couple months.
Hell yeah.
Or like even close to a year, and they were sending them like live cockroaches in the mail. They sent like a plastic bloody pig mask. They sent like fly larvae, and then they also like made like a fake garage sale for like their house, and then like flew out to their house and like tried to put tracking devices on their car, like fucking crazy shit. Like,
what the fuck?
Actual crazy people shit. Yeah. And it was all they got charged with like cyber stalking and stuff, but they were just trying to like fuck with this like couple and send them like weird shit, so they would get like so like nervous and like have such bad anxiety that they wouldn't post to their like blog anymore because somebody was harassing them. So they were trying to like secretly take down this blog by basically just making this couple so scared that they don't want to post on this blog anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck? So like they all got caught
That's
and fired,
nuts.
and now they're all facing like, and one was like chief, he was like a CEO of something. I don't know if like marketing or like accounting or something like that, but he was like high up there, and they're fucking still doing this. They weren't even like technically low level employees. They have like, they found their text messages like, we're gonna fucking ruin them, and you're like, oh my god, like,
whoa,
it's eBay. It's not just like a, like you have so much more to lose. What are you doing? Stop. Like, eBay's gonna be fine regardless of this blog.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
that is insane. All the shady shit that goes down on eBay. That's one I didn't expect.
Yeah, and somebody in like the comments of Reddit was like, if this was on Facebook, I would have been like, this is fake. But like it's on like actual news channels and stuff like that, and like it's backed up, and there's like actual reportings on it of people standing out in front of like eBay, like reporting on this shit. And it's
Holy
like
shit,
crazy. Like the CEO had to like come out and say some shit, and like it's absolutely insane. But
I mean, now's
yeah,
the time to do weird shit like that. There's too much
Yeah.
news going on. It'll get buried, I guess.
I guess you're right, but yeah, these people face up to 5 years in prison if they get, accused
Whoa.
or convicted. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it was like psychological torture, and like, yeah, it's wild shit. But
Holy shit.
anyway, let's get into these stories. But before we do, we gotta tell you about some coffee, and we're talking about Spring Hill Jack coffee. So if you guys like coffee, go check out Spring Hill Jack. They're great. Their coffee company is amazing. They've been true and blue this whole time, and we love them over here at Camp Strange. So we know if you'll give them a try, you'll probably love them too. So go check out springhilljack.coffee to go pick up some nice, affordable coffee for your home and your loved ones. And let's just get into these stories. So now, David, while in quarantine, I picked up a couple hobbies that I've kind of forgotten about and taken a break from. And one in particular is, of course, video games. And one video game in particular that I had neglected due to its immense stress involved is, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
I
you've
think
talked
we've
about that.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a stressful game. You got to take care of your horse. You got to make sure you're bathed. You got to keep your camp all up and donate money and save people and not pull out your gun in town and accidentally shoot somebody or run them over with the horse. There's so many people I almost run over with a horse in town, and then everybody freaks out, and I got to flee, and I have a $350 bounty on my head now because I killed a guy with my horse.
What are you gonna do, huh? Dive farther.
It's crazy. But as I play it, I realize why the game is so stressful. And not only because of all those reasons I just mentioned, but it's because living in the Old West in the 1800s was super stressful. That's why I wanted to tell you a story today about someone who was actually rarely ever stressed. But not because he didn't have any problems, but because it's easy to not stress when you have no conscience or fear of death. And that's why today I will be telling you about Levi Boone Helm, a.k.a. the Kentucky Cannibal.
Ooh.
So, let me get into the story. So, Levi Boone Helm was born in Kentucky in 1828 to a well-respected and hardworking family, and although the Helm family sought comfort living in a quiet and peaceful life, Levi found his hobbies to be quite the opposite. And I feel like a lot of these people, I mean, it's half and half, really. Like, some of them come from, like, really fucked up families, but some of them, they're just like, oh, yeah, it's everybody's normal, and, like, we just have this weird little outlier who just, like, wants to do this, like, wild shit. Like, his great-grandpa was an insane person or something. Like, he got that trait. But after the Helm family moved to Missouri, when Levi was still a boy, Levi began to show his true self. You see, Levi delighted in demonstrating feats of strength and agility and would goad men into fights by throwing his Bowie knife into the ground and then retrieving it from a horse at full gallop, which is actually pretty fucking cool.
That's sick as fuck.
Yeah, you just like, I feel like that's like exactly like what you would do in a movie, you know what I mean? Just like throw it and then run and just try to grab it out of the ground, and he's like, oh, you think you're tough? And then the guy just fucking gets stabbed to death. I don't know. It's crazy how much ego was involved in like the Old West. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
people were willing to risk it all because somebody stepped on their shoe, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah, you go to the right places in America now. That's gonna happen. You step on my fucking Jordans, I'm gonna shoot you.
It's true. You know, shoe culture is very protective, but I guess boot culture was too. And he doing this stuff, he began getting in many fights, which in turn got him into many jail cells. And actually, in one incident, to show his contempt for authority, Helm, on horseback, rebuffed the sheriff's attempt to arrest him and walked his horse up the stairs of a courthouse and into the courtroom while circuit court was in session. And then he verbally chastised the judge in front of everybody. But the most interesting thing about that is, can't horses not walk back down steps or stairs?
I think that's cows, but I'm sure horses can't either.
No, I thought the same thing, and I Googled it because I was like, what the fuck? And it said horses and cows because they can't see, like, directly below them. They have, like, a hard time seeing what was, like, below them, so they can't, like, really walk down steps without, like, falling or some shit like that. So,
okay.
I mean, what a brave man. He probably jumped that 20 stair with that Mustang.
Or he took his shittiest horse. Left it.
He left it in the courtroom. Or he just let it fall down the stairs, and he's like, horse meat? Who wants horse meat? So after
he let it free into nature.
So after a few more years of trouble with the law, Helm married 17-year-old Lucinda Browning in 1848 and soon fathered a daughter. But that by no means meant that his days of terrorizing were over, because Helm became known for his heavy drinking, riding his horse into the house, and beating his wife, which is, not the first two were like, okay, like, oh, heavy drinking and riding the horse in the house, that's like a fun story, but then he's like a wife beater, so he's kind of a piece of shit. The domestic violence grew so bad that Lucinda petitioned for divorce, and Helm's father actually paid for the cost of the divorce because he probably knew his son was so fucking shitty, which ended up bankrupting his father and ruined his family's reputation because of, like, his domestic violence and his drunken ways and shit like that, and his father having to bail him out. And actually, this is when Helm decided to split and move to California because why, David? Not to star in the next horse-forward action blockbuster besides Sarah Jessica Parker. No. He went there to find gold. Why everybody went to California.
Yep. The old 49ers.
Yeah, exactly. So by 1850, Helm had decided to head to California in search of gold. And Helm asked his cousin, a man named Littleberry Chute. I'm not even kidding. That's his fucking name.
Okay.
Littleberry Chute. And he would actually accompany him to California. And Chute initially agreed to accompany him, but when Chute attempted to back out of the trip, Helm became angered. And like I said, this is his cousin. And Helm became angered and ended up stabbing Littleberry in the chest, killing him instantly.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He's like, I'm already going to California. I'll fucking kill someone here.
I mean, at least he didn't suffer.
it's so easy to kill people in the Old West, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like no one's tracking you.
There's no Uber to take him to the hospital to avoid that big old ambulance fee.
I think about that often. I'm like, I just take an Uber. Why not? Like it's already like $1,000 just to call an ambulance to, if you get in the
Bring
ambulance,
a couple trash bags, lay them down.
Exactly. So after stabbing his cousin and murdering him, Helm then headed west alone. Littleberry's brother and friends pursued and captured Helm, but his antics in captivity quickly landed him in an asylum for the mentally deranged. And upon entering the asylum, Helm actually became friendly with the guards and convinced them to take him on walks through the woods. But after these walks became routine, Helm was able to take advantage of the guards' trust and then deceived them and was able to escape. So he's pretty, he's not crazy. He's not crazy to the point where he's going to stay in the asylum. And he's like, I'm okay with staring at a blank wall. But he's very charming, I guess, too, in a certain way, even though he's a cannibal murderer.
Yeah. Has he eaten anybody at this point?
You know what? It's kind of interesting you say that because there was like never proof of him doing this like early on, but then like later in life he or not later, but like in a little bit you'll find out that he like confessed to murdering and eating people along the way.
Okay.
And people are like, "Oh shit, you did that," but there's no one obviously around to be like, "Oh, I saw him do it," because they were just fucking dead. They got ate. So Helm was now a free man once again on his way to California to get rich quick. But on his way west, he fell back into his old hobbies and even quicker way to get money: murder. He murdered several men in various altercations, eventually committing premeditated murder as well. So he was like, it wasn't like heat of the moment all the time. He was like, oh, no, I like murdering and I want to murder people for like vengeance, or, it wasn't just like I'm a crazy person. It's pretty clear that he was just like, I like murder. So it is also not known how many people he killed while in his travels, but 11 were confirmed by the end of his life, and most believe that there have been probably many more. But they keep talking about how easy it was to like murder somebody in like the Old West. Like the more west you moved, the easier it was to get away with murder, because it was just like it wasn't as civilized. You could just like gun down somebody in the street and then get away, and people were like, I don't know who that was, and it wasn't like
the Wild Wild West, baby.
Exactly. So like I said, he probably committed many more murders, but at that point he was forced to flee California because he was just killing a shit ton of people, and he wanted to avoid arrest and vigilante justice. So Helm teamed up with 6 men with whom he confided in to these 6 men. He also he confided in these 6 men, but he also apparently confessed to them that he had eaten parts of his previous murder victims, saying, "Many's the poor devil I've killed at one time or another, and the time has been that I've been obliged to feed on them, on some of them." So he did like with his new gang. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've killed people." He's like, "I've fucking even eaten some of them. I don't care." But he definitely will go on to like prove that like he definitely has like a hankering for some human meat. So, as the 6 men fled north to Fort Hall, Idaho. Do you know where that is? Fort Hall? You know what Fort Hall is?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, they were attacked by a group of Native Americans, which forced Helm and his party into the wilderness, and the group remained lost in the wild for days with short provisions, so they didn't have much food. And Helm and his remaining party ended up actually having to kill their horses and ate the meat and then made snowshoes out of the hides. So now they're like on foot and they don't have their horses because their horses were like doing pretty shitty, I guess, too. So the journey was difficult and deadly, eventually winnowing the party down to 2 men. I guess when they were traveling, they, when somebody would get sick or like be too weak, they would just leave them there and just like keep walking. And like, we don't have time, or, But the last 2 men were Helm and a man named Burton. So when Burton could not go any further, Helm left him in an abandoned cabin to go get some firewood, to stay the night or whatever, or just go scavenge for food. But while out scavenging, Helm heard what sounded like a pistol shot, and when he returned, he found out that Burton had actually shot himself in the head. So he killed himself because he was so weak, and he was like, I'm not going to make it, which is terrifying and so scary. You don't really, think about that kind of stuff. You're just like, oh, Wild West is cool. They got little towns, but you don't really think about that. Like the space in between the towns where people were trying to travel could go really, really bad, really, really quick. So Helm, starving and now alone, actually ended up eating one of Burton's legs right then and there, and then wrapped the other up to take with him on his journey. And someone finally discovered Helm at an Indian camp and allowed Helm to accompany him, despite having over $1,400. Oh, sorry. And so he took Helm in. He's like, I'll bring you into town. And then they found out that despite having like $1,400 on his person, Helm didn't like pay the man or give him any money at all for like saving his life. And the guy gave him like food and clothing and transported him all the way to like Salt Lake City, Utah, because Helm was like super fucking greedy and just kind of like a bad dude. So he was just trying to keep as much money as like he could. I think he was like stealing money off of like even like his friends who have died and stuff like that. He just like didn't care. He was just like, I'm going to keep as much as I can, which I guess is fair. I don't know. It's the Wild West,
I mean, if they're dead, they're not going to be using that money.
That's true, but you should probably like pay somebody. He kept like his pay a secret, even though this guy's like, oh, this guy's like missing and starving out in the woods. Not like, he didn't even know that he was like eating his dead friends, and then he also had like a shit ton of money. So this is kind of a weird situation. So Boone became wanted by the law and fled to San Francisco, California. After he was in Salt Lake City, he kept like becoming wanted because he was just a fucking asshole, and he kept trying to like fight people or rob people or kill people. And while in California, Helm killed a rancher who had befriended him and taken him in, like I said, sheltering him from the vengeance of the law. So he was like, I'm an outlaw running, and the guy's like, oh, you can like stay here, I won't turn you in. And then he fucking killed him. It's like such a piece of shit. And Helm then traveled to Oregon after that, so he just bouncing around, and resumed robbing people for a living, frequently murdering them as well. And in 1862, after heavy drinking, Helm gunned down an unarmed man named Dutch Fred in a saloon, and then he fled. And apparently Fred was known as a fighter, but curiously enough, Fred never instigated Helm at all. People are like, oh, Fred probably asked for it. He got in a fight and he ended up dying. But apparently it was actually an enemy of Fred who told Helm to kill the unarmed Dutch Fred, making many believe that it was actually a hired hit. So now it's like, oh fuck, Boone Helm, like Levi is, he's a hitman too. So he's just, he loves killing at this point. You could just kind of tell.
Yeah, and he didn't hire 4 other people to do it.
Exactly. He's just like, no, this guy seems crazy enough to fucking just get the job done. And this actually created a huge uproar with the authorities since the man was unarmed. So they're like, oh, there was like not a duel. There was not an altercation. There was nothing justified in this. So it forced Helm to flee again because, everybody was after him. But while on the run, of course, Helm ate another fugitive who had been accompanying him. So he was just eating and fucking killing people that were just like his friends too. He didn't care. He had like no conscience. He was just like really leaning into being like a piece of shit.
Did they ever break down his go-to way of cooking people up? Did he eat them raw, or did he slather them with some Lowry's and pitch them over the fire?
With some sweet baby rays, with some stubs. I'll get some stubs on these stubs. But no, they never really said, because I don't think he really ever confessed, because a lot of people I think some people might have seen him eating some human, but most of them were just he was like, yeah, I fucking cut off the guy's legs and ate him, and they're it makes sense because how else would he have survived? I don't think he's lying about this. He was really leaning into like his shitty personality and his crimes. He was just like,
Yeah.
I did it, whatever, I don't give a fuck. And you'll see at the end too, he's like, he really was like, I'm okay with this, like whatever. So after running, he was captured shortly after, but Helm had some help this time, because Helm implored his brother Old Tex, which was one of Helm's 12 siblings, for assistance. With a considerable amount of money, Old Tex paid off all of the witnesses who saw him kill Dutch Fred. And unable to convict Helm without witnesses, the authorities released him, and he accompanied his brother to Texas. Of course, Old Tex lives in fucking Texas. He has to.
Yeah.
But in the subsequent years, Helm killed many more men and got away with it, and, eventually just ended up fleeing, but he finally got caught. But where? He got caught in Montana, David. So you might be close to fucking Levi Boone Helm territory. I don't know where he was where he got caught, but he got caught in Montana. So Helm was captured while he was traveling with the notorious Henry Plummer and his gang. I would be so down to be like in a gang like that. That seems so fun though. I mean, I wouldn't want to do all the horrible shit that they did, but like it would be so
you don't
cool
want to be in a gang?
I guess not. I like the idea of a gang, but I don't like I like the lifestyle. No, not the lifestyle. I like the idea of just like traveling with your buddies.
The camaraderie.
From town to town, and like having campfires and hunting, and then going into a saloon, and it just seems fun. But then they also don't talk about like the horrible gingivitis and jock itch, and you have lice everywhere, and you're like, everything stinks, and even the women that will actually take your money to have sex with you, they don't really love you. You never really find.
There is no love in the Wild West.
There's no love. But like I said, he was captured while traveling with the notorious Henry Plummer and his gang, and Helm and the 4 other gang members were captured, arrested, and tried in secret. So they didn't want to like have somebody be able to break them out or anything like that. In that trial, Helm kissed the Bible and then proceeded to perjure himself, accusing Three-Finger Jack Gallagher, Helm's close friend and fellow gang member, of crimes Helm himself had committed. So he was just fucking throwing all of his friend and gang members like under the bus as well. And the Montana vigilantes actually hanged Helm, Gallagher, and other members of the gang in Virginia City, Montana on January 14th, 1864. But here's the best part. So in front of the crowd of 6,000, before he was hanged, Helm stated, "I have looked at death in all forms," said Helm. He said it coolly, and then he said, "I am not afraid to die." And then he asked for what, David?
He asked for 3 cheeseburgers.
No, he asked for
and
a glass of whiskey because he's a whiskey man.
Whiskey man. Oh, I'm a whiskey man. I'm a whiskey man until the noose is around my neck, and goddamn it, I'm still a whiskey man. I'm gonna go out a whiskey. I was born a whiskey man. I'm gonna go out a whiskey man.
He's like, what goes great with whiskey? Chicken leg piece of a man. Human leg
Chicken
piece.
leg piece?
Chicken
human leg piece?
Yes. So, but he was like true to his word. He really was not afraid to die, because while at the gallows, Levi Boone Helm, looked around at his friends placed for death and told his buddy Jack, or Three-Finger Jack Gallagher, to stop making such a fuss. There's no use being afraid to die, which is like so fucking cool. Like I don't like this guy's not cool, but like there's something so cool about not being afraid to die, like in those last moments. She's like, damn, this guy's fucking so crazy that he just like doesn't give a fuck. And it's just, I think it's cool because even like the hardest, coolest people who are like, say they're not afraid to die, most of them usually break when it comes down to it. But it's like James Franco in Ballad of Buster Scruggs, when like they got the noose around his neck and he looks over and he's like, first time, like, have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like That's so fucking cool. I mean, there's a reason it's a meme. It's like the coolest shit ever. So when it was Jack's turn to hang, so when they put Three Finger Jack in the news because he went before Helm, reportedly Jack remarked, "Kick away, old fellow. My turn next. I'll be in hell with you in a minute." Which is like such a fucking cool thing to say too. Like,
I mean, that would just piss me off if I was the executioner. I'd be like, you fuckers, you're not supposed to enjoy this.
Exactly. It's like, fuck, like he's making us kind of look bad. You know what I mean? Like he looks like he's happy to do it. There's no retribution or whatever. But here's the best part. When the executioner approached Helm, he allegedly exclaimed, and I don't really agree with this, but he says, "Every man for his principles. Hurrah for Jeff Davis. Let her rip." So I guess he was a hardcore Confederate, and he loved Jefferson Davis. I've never seen anybody call him Jeff Davis, which is kind of strange. But Jefferson
They're
Davis
close friends.
Yeah, obviously Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederacy, so I guess he was like a hardcore Confederate. But he said, yeah, for hurrah for Jeff Davis, let her rip. But here's the cool part. He then jumped off the stool of the hangman's box before the executioner could kick it away. And then so Boone Helm died in 1864 and is buried in Boot Hill Cemetery, Virginia City, which may be in Montana. Like I said, he was hanged in Virginia City, Montana. So, but how fucking
Maybe I'll
cool
go
is that?
search out that grave. He's just taking all the power away from him.
I think that was the point. He was very ego-driven, so he's like, "Oh, you want to fucking kill me? Check this shit out." And then he just jumped off. And I'm like, "Damn, that guy so wasn't afraid to die. It was crazy."
Man.
Like,
If only dirt bikes existed back then, because he probably would have been one hell of a dirt bike rider.
or BMX. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah. He has
But-
strong legs.
I mean,
All those bodies he cut up and carried around, probably.
do you think your legs get stronger the more legs you eat? Because that might be the case. Human
it
leg
might work
piece.
like that? I'm not
So-
sure. It might work like that.
So I guess all I can say in the end is own your mistakes, and if you're already going to die, might as well do it your way, which actually kind of seems like it should be the slogan for the Nightmare Whopper at Burger King. If
I was
you're
going to say, that sounded like... Is that
If
Burger
you're-
King's Have It Your Way? Who is that?
Yeah, that's Burger King. Have it your way.
Okay.
So if you're already going to die, might as well have it your way, which is the Nightmare
Beautiful.
Whopper slogan, which is, lean into it. Lean
Beautiful.
into the death, right? But that's my story of Levi Boone Helm, the Kentucky Cannibal.
I'm still not over the fact that I drove to like 4 different Burger Kings and none of them would serve me a Nightmare
Are
Whopper.
you serious? That's bullshit.
And when I went and asked, they pretend like they never heard of it. So I feel like that's a conspiracy cover up in itself.
They're like, we've never heard of it. And then what you didn't see was there was a guy crouched behind the counter with a gun pointed at their waist.
Absolutely.
Say you never heard of it. We got to keep them all here. Contain them.
You tell me never happened, or you're eating 3 of them tonight.
Anyway, that's my story of that fucking crazy asshole.
All right, let's do this. It's finally time we talk about the elephant in the room, and that's the wild world of Scientology.
I
So,
love Scientology.
Oh, yeah. Let's not dilly-daddle around and get into it. So, to start this off, let's answer the important question of what is Scientology? Scientology is a body of religious beliefs and practices which was first introduced in 1950 and organized as a movement in May of 1952 by American author L. Ron Hubbard.
Hell
Boy,
yeah,
one of the scariest moments of my life was when I had recently gotten my little child Kuma, good boy Kuma, and I was walking him around Portland, Oregon, and he pulled me into this store, and I wasn't really paying. I think I was on my phone or something, and he pulled me in the store, and I kind of like looked up, and I was looking around like, this place is weird, and I looked down a book, and it said L. Ron Hubbard. And I realized that Kuma had dragged me into the Scientology store of Portland, Oregon.
Oh, interesting. Because I was
Yeah,
gonna
so
say they're
my dog's a Scientologist.
I was gonna say it might be interesting too because I thought you were just gonna say like a random bookstore because he was like before he started this whole religion he was like just a shitty science fiction writer. So like I
Yeah,
was like,
he's a
oh,
big sci-fi writer.
maybe there's some like some bookstores that carried his like old books or something, and maybe they weren't about Scientology, but nowadays it's all he's known for.
Were his books shitty? I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to read one of them now.
Well, there was a movie called Battlefield Earth starring
Oh, yeah.
John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker, I believe.
Yeah,
And
that was that was like one of the worst movies ever made.
yeah, it was like the worst movie ever made, and he wrote that script, I believe. So it's like, or he wrote
Yeah.
the story of it or something like that. So like, I don't know. A lot of people who read his science fiction, like, I'm reading a book right now that reference, like, it's called Lovecraft Country, and they reference how, like, he goes, I like these authors, not like people like L. Ron Hubbard, because they like say that his science fiction just wasn't good, but he was getting published in like
Okay.
these pulp magazines or something just because they were something. I don't really know, but they said it just didn't match up to like the other authors of the time or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason why John Travolta was in that shitty fucking movie with that crazy ass
His
makeup
dreads,
on.
his fucking huge
Yeah.
head with his dreadlocks.
He looked like an iron deficient Worf from Star Trek.
He looked like a human version of Predator, or I guess he was like an alien, but like it was so fucking weird. Someone slapped John Travolta's face on a Predator body or something.
Yeah, with that 5 head. So
Yeah.
Hubbard was initially developed a program of ideas.
He
called,
was initially developed.
It was called Dianetics.
Dianetics.
Dianetics, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Which distributed through the Dianetics Foundation. It didn't take long for his foundation to get slapped in the face with bankruptcy, leading El Ronnie Daddy to lose the rights to his seminal publication. Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, in 1952. So that was the official name of it.
Oh, interesting. That makes more sense now why they fucking hate therapists and like psychologists, because they think they know all of the answers behind mental health, I believe, huh?
Yeah. So that same year, it was the same year that he like came out with it. It was bankrupt, and it was then recharacterized that the idea was now a religion and renamed it Scientology, which he retained the terminologies, doctrines, and the e-meter and practice of auditing.
That's how you make that money. Just make your business a religion, and then people are just like fanatics, and then people
You
want
just
to
dodge that tax.
dodge the tax, get free money. Like, yeah, that's what people are doing.
Mm-hmm. So within that year, he regained the rights of Dianetics, and he retained both subjects under the idea of the Church of Scientology. So he kind of fused them together. So the Church of Scientology says that the human is immortal, spiritual being that is a resident in a physical body, which they call a Thetan.
Thetan. Thetan?
Thetan?
Yeah, I think it's
Thetan?
something
Thetan?
like that. It's all made up words anyways. We could pronounce them however the fuck we want.
That is very true. So the Thetan was or has innumerable past lives, and it is observed in advanced Scientology writings that in our lives that they fill our bodies once lived in they once lived in extraterrestrial cultures in space before coming to Earth.
Yeah, they got blown out of fucking volcanoes.
Well, hold on, we'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
So
I've
Hub
seen that
Daddy
South
broke
Park
down.
episode.
So Hub Daddy broke down the word Scientology as getting its name from Scio, a Latin word meaning to know or distinguish, and the Greek word logos, meaning the word of outward form by which the inward thought is expressed and made known. So Hubbard wrote, Thus, Scientology means knowing about knowing or science of knowledge, which makes complete sense.
I don't think
You want me
he
to read
knew
that
what
again?
I don't even think he knew what the fuck he was talking about. It's like, that's the thing. If you have something that's like confusing enough, it's like, when I get like, I think therefore I am, but like it's still really confusing off the top. So if like you say that shit, people go like, wow, like he's so smart that I don't even understand what the fuck he's talking about. And I think that's what he was kind of going for. He's like, if no one understands it but me, then I seem like I just have a grasp on this thing that no one can understand. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And the first step to getting people to believe in your bullshit is to add Latin into it.
Oh my god, yeah. Dead language? Hell
It's
yeah.
just a fact.
It just seems old. It makes it
'Cause
look
no one
old.
knows.
It makes it look established,
Exactly. So there's a lot to cover about Hub Daddy, so I won't cover it all. But this story was too good to pass, and I think it's pretty important to the story. So in April of 1938, Hubbard apparently had an issue with a drug that he was given during a dental procedure, which triggered a revelation of near-death experiences, which inspired Hubbard to compose a manuscript which was never actually published. Like, they have it, but it's never published, which had the working title of The One Command or Excalibur. It was between the two.
It's crazy what bubblegum flavored nose gas can do to you,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How be fucking flying?
He's like, our god is now bubblegum scented. Like, what? Try to explain what bubblegum flavor is. Try to explain that right now. What does bubblegum taste like? Bubblegum. That's the only thing.
Tastes like bubblegum. So the contents of this manuscript was believed to be related to his teachings of Scientology, along with any of his sci-fi publications. Hubbard worked off of One Command and was thought to be means of a survival teachings. This theme would be revisited in Dianetics, and the set of ideas and practices regarding the metaphysical relationship between body and mind, which would become the central philosophy of Scientology.
Okay.
So when you boil it down, the whole idea of Scientology came off of him having a bad trip from a dental
bubblegum gas
procedure. Exactly.
That's crazy. The doctor's like, do I get a co-writing like fucking thing, asshole?
Am I a producer?
He's like, all that candy made me so smart. I ate so much candy and didn't floss, and now I'm a god.
So in August of 1954, Hubby moved into the Pasadena mansion of John Jack Whiteside Parsons. Not Jim Parsons. Don't want to get that mixed up. So Jack Whiteside Parsons was an avid occultist and Thelamite.
What was
Is that right?
Phelomite?
So I guess it's some occult belief or religion.
See, exactly
And
what
he
you're
was
talking
also
about. Some fucking Latin bullshit, probably.
Yeah. And this Parsons guy was a huge fanboy of legendary English ceremonial magician Aleister Crowley.
Oh,
Crowley.
yeah. Yep. Oh, Mr.
And,
Crowley.
Yeah, and so Parsons was also the leader of a lodge of Crowley's magical order, the Ordo Templi Orditis, also known as the OTO, which is just another bullshit thing with Latin to make it sound smarter.
It's crazy,
So,
like, how many of their hobbies back in, like, that era were, like, oh, what do you like? Some guy's like, oh, I make, like, wood tables. And the guy's like, I build altars and pray to a squid. And everyone's like, what? And they're like, you wouldn't get it. It's a magic portal you can't see through. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? But, like, that was, like, the era of, like, weird cults. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing as Rick and Morty now, because now people just go, oh, you just might not be smart enough to get it.
Exactly. It's like, what the fuck? No, like, we get it. We just, like, I don't know. Not my thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't like a squid god.
So Parsons and Hubby collaborated on the Babylon Working, which was a sex magic ritual, which was meant to
Yeehaw.
summon a incarnation of Babylon, a supreme Thelamite goddess. So it had something to do with whatever that religion cult thing was.
I just
The
love that
Thelamite.
like none of them are like even proving that any of this works either. They're just like, we tried to summon Babylon, like did it work? They're like, no, but we're gonna keep trying, and then like people still like follow
we're
that
so
shit. And
close.
you're like, it's never worked. Yeah, exactly. It's like the Bigfoot people where you're like, we're gonna find him this time. I was like, dude, this is the 18th season of this show. You haven't found him. He's not gonna pop up. Imagine if he just popped up one episode and they're like, oh, okay, I guess the show's over. We found him. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Like, what the
See you
fuck?
guys. We're gonna go drink beers with Bigfoot. So Hubby also started to practice hypnosis that same year, which led him to create the Dianetics.
Just because he got a pocket watch for Christmas?
Yeah. That's a gift that can really ruin someone's life. So please stop giving pocket watches.
You don't know how bad I wanted a pocket watch when I was young. I'm so glad my parents
Oh,
didn't
man.
get one because that's like a slippery slope to a vest and then a fedora.
And then those steampunk goggles.
And a top hat. No, I gotta wear them with my top hat
Yeah.
and
You get a
fingerless
parrot.
gloves and a fucking curly mustache. Oh my gosh, I'm liking this. I take it back. I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, I think you should. So we keep talking about Dianetics, but what exactly is that? Well, Dianetics uses counseling techniques known as auditing, which I kind of mentioned earlier, which an auditor assists a subject in a conscious recall of traumatic events in the individual's past. It was originally intended to be a new form of psychotherapy, not a foundation of a new religion.
I got audited.
Did you?
Yeah,
By the FBI?
No, I went to Scientology a couple, like 4 years ago.
Oh, that's right. You had to. You had a podcast before that you had to go do that, right?
Yeah, we had a podcast called Haven't Done That. We went there and we got audited, and they were like asking me about like, you know, my past and stuff like that. And I was like telling them stuff that was like I didn't really care about if like anybody knew. I was just like, oh yeah, this happened and this happened, and they're like, how do you feel about that? I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of sucked at the time, but like blah blah blah. And they're like, oh okay, and I was like, oh, this is like, I get why it is therapeutic. Like what they do
Oh, yeah.
is very similar to seeing a therapist, but the only problem is what they do with that information is not therapist like, because therapists use that information to try to help you, and Scientology does that in a certain way, but if you turn on them and you don't want to do something, then they use it as blackmail. And a therapist is like, oh, I'm a doctor. I don't like, if you don't want to see me anymore, that's fine. Like, I wish you the best. But they're like, no. That's why they always say, like, you know, these stars in Hollywood, they can't get out because if they do get out, then they'll release all their like dirt and all that shit to the public.
Yeah.
And then, you know, even with normal people, they'll ruin their lives because they'll tell people they love or care about that, like they did this or this happened, you know. So blackmail.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk about that a little bit later.
Oh.
So Hubbard's book Dianetics would go on to be the best-selling non-Christian religious book of the century.
That's crazy.
Appearing on the list of bestsellers for 100 weeks.
What?
Yeah. So combining the ideas of past lives and diving into darkness of the past, many of the followers believe through Dianetics they have experienced events that they believed had taken place in one of their many past lives.
It's kind of like a reincarnation a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
They're pulling a little bit of like Buddhism in there, you know?
Yeah. So in 1951, Hubbins incorporated a new tool, the electropsychometer, also known as the E-meter. Did you have to use an E-meter?
No, that was like I had to pay to use the e-meter. I had to like show back up, and then they were gonna like I had to go. They basically tried to get me to buy all the books because like they're a profit thing. Like that's what their main thing is. Like we want money,
yeah.
money, money. So they're like you have to buy the books, and then once you read the books, then you could come and do the e-meters. And I was like, fuck that, I ain't buying the books. And then they're like, I lied to them, and I was like, I don't have any money. And then they're like, oh, call up your parents. And I'm like, they won't give me money. And they're just like, can you try? And I was like, dude, this is fucking weird. Like you're like
Yeah.
a guy that won't take no for an answer, you know, like when he's like trying to hit on a girl or something. I was like, I don't like, I told him, and I like lied to him. I was like, oh, I'll be back soon. Like I have to go on a trip, but I'll be back. And they're like, okay, what day will you come back? And they like try to get a date and time and like to come by. And they're like, and then I was like, I can't buy all the books. And they're like, okay, just this book. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then they're like getting all pissed off at me because I wouldn't buy the books. And I was like, Jesus fuck.
So this e-meter is a kind of electrodermal activity meter, and they use it during the auditing stages, and it's a tool that is used for detecting changes in a person's state of mind. So it's almost like a lie detector in a way.
And you know what it looks like? It looks like the things that like in the arcade. Remember like the fake electric chair, the fake Uncle Fester electric chair where you have to grab the metal things and it vibrates and it like pretend shocks you, but it feels weird and you have to see if you can hang on for as long as you can. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. So in 1972, Hubby Wubby was wanted in France for engaging in fraud and was fined 3,500 French francs and sentenced to 4 years in prison.
That's a lot of hot dogs.
It is. But this is a man who was a prophet. How could the world survive without him and him behind bars? So obviously that just couldn't happen. So LaRon Hames fled back to the United States and began living in an apartment in Queens, New York. But the legal problems did not end in France. Hubbs was faced with possible indictment in the U.S., so he went into hiding in April 1979, and he went into hiding in Hemet, California. I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is?
Hemet?
Yeah.
Probably in the woods.
It's a good place to hide, I guess. So when he was in hiding...
If we knew where it was, it wouldn't be a good place to hide.
Exactly. So when he went into hiding, he only had contact with the outside world with 10 trusted messengers. He cut contact with everyone, including even his wife, who he saw for the last time in August of 1979.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So in 1979, as a result of the FBI raids during Operation Snow White, an operation of a search for criminal conspiracy by the Church of Scientology, 11 senior people in the church's guardian office were convicted of obstructing justice, burglary of government offices, and theft of documents and the government property.
Whoa.
So I guess he had his people try to like break into the government and steal evidence.
That's some Watergate shit.
Yeah. So on January 24th of 1986, L. Ron Hubbard died at his ranch in Creston, California, and David Miscavige became the new head of Scientology. Miscavige,
yeah.
Yeah, he became the head of Scientology.
Yeah.
I guess you actually tried to join these people. You should have been doing this story.
I'm like correcting you. I'm like, actually, and you're like, wait, why do you like this so much? I'm like, actually, but no, I was gonna say it. It's weird because I watched a couple of documentaries, especially after going there. Like, I wanted to like know as much about it as I could, but there's like a weird thing. Like when he did die, I think he died of like cancer or something like that. But when he did die, he they announced his death as he finally took his final form, or like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, he broke.
Yeah.
There's like levels to Scientology, and they're like, he reached the top level, blah blah blah, and they're like, and I was like, what a like a weird fucking thing. And David Miscavige is fucking crazy too. You could do a whole episode on that dude, because that dude's wife has been missing for like a long ass time.
We're gonna talk about it.
Okay, sorry.
So, so let's talk a little bit more about the beliefs, mostly the idea of the body and the Thetan. Thetan,
Thetan.
whatever. Thetan.
You get it fucking right if you're gonna disrespect my religion.
So Scientology's beliefs revolve around the idea of the immortal soul and the Thetan. Scientology teaches that the Thetan is the true identity of a person. Hubbard taught that the Thetan brought the material universe into being largely for their own pleasure, and the universe has no independent reality, but it derives its apparent reality from the fact that the Thetans agree that it exists.
That's so fucking like ass backwards. What the fuck is he talking about? Like he just
Like
basically
how-
saying Thetans are just like, oh, we have like all the Thetans have an agreed upon reality and agreed upon memory. It's like, what the fuck is like? What are you talking about? Like, it's so like up his own ass type thing. It's so apparent that this guy's just trying to like think of something new to like call reality.
Yeah.
It's like some people are like it's a illusion or it's like a video game, and then he's just like, oh, let me try to think of something like that. It's an agreed upon thing between. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So stupid.
So the Thetans fell from grace when they began to identify with their creation rather than the original state of the spiritual purity. Eventually, they lost their memory of their true nature along with associated spiritual and creative powers. As a result, Thetans came to think of themselves as nothing but embodied beings. So it's kind of like they stopped believing in themselves and now they're just people.
Oh wow.
So
I don't even know what
Thetans
to
are
say.
Thetans are reborn time and time again in new bodies through a process called assumption, which is like reincarnation.
Okay.
Scientology makes a casual relationship between the experiences of earlier Jesus Christ.
Carnation.
Yeah, and one's present life, and with each rebirth, it becomes a thing of the messed universe on the Theta's, like, so.
I feel like you don't even know what the fuck's going on anymore.
I don't. So the mess stands for matter. Oh god, I got a typo here. It corrected. So many of these words, these made up words, kept auto correcting themselves while I was typing. So like a lot of it is almost gibberish on my end. But yeah, so mess stands for matter. The E got fucked. What would the E be?
Energy?
Well, it's matter, something, space, and time. So maybe energy. But yeah, I don't know. I dropped the ball on that one. So let's talk about the space opera and the Wall of Fire.
What?
Do you not know about this?
Not really.
So the Church of Scientology holds that at the highest levels of initiation, also known as OT levels, mystical teachings are impaired, that they may be harmful to the unprepared readers or followers. These teachings are kept secret from members who have not reached the higher levels. The church says that the secrecy is warranted to keep its materials from contact of people, and it protects the members from being exposed to materials they are not yet prepared for.
Oh God.
So these are the OT levels, the levels above clear, whose contents are guarded with Scientology. The OT level teachings include amounts of various cosmic catastrophes caused by the downfall of the Thetans. Hubbard describes these early events collectively as the space opera.
Oh, okay. Space opera. That's yeah. Like I said, he was like a
Sounds fun.
fucking science fiction writer. It's like you can't just be like, oh, I'm a science fiction writer, then all of a sudden like have a trip out on a dream, and then all of a sudden you're like, I have a religion now. You're like, are you sure that's not just like more science fiction? And he's like, no, this one's real. Like, you have to be like a Buddhist monk or like somebody that lives in the mountains and then not write anything ever and then write a religion. Not just like, I'm a struggling writer. Also, here's a religion, and not just be like, are you sure it's not one of your other stories? Like, no, it's not.
It's a little hard to sell their case when the guy who made all this up was a science fiction writer.
Exactly.
And all this stuff is very sci-fi.
Yeah.
So in these teachings, it tells the story of Xenu, the tyrant ruler of the Galactic Confederacy.
Yes. Lizard boy.
So according to the story, 75 million years ago, Xenu brought billions of people to Earth in a spacecraft resembling a Douglas DC-8 airliner, attached them around volcanoes, and detonated a hydrogen bomb in the volcanoes.
They had hydrogen bombs and jet airliners?
Yes.
Cool. So
yeah, it leaves you a little speechless. There's not much to say.
It's kind of crazy
cool.
that like they invented planes before like civilization was a thing.
And hydrogen bombs.
And hydrogen bombs. Fuck.
So the Thetans then clustered together and stuck to the bodies of the living and continue to do this to this day. Excerpts and descriptions of OT material were published online by a former member in 1995 and then circulated the mainstream media. This occurred after the teachings were submitted as evidence in a court case involving the church, then becoming public record. So there are 8 levels known in the OT levels, and from OT1 to OT8, which is, not very creative to name them that. The highest level of OT8 is disclosed only at sea on the Scientology cruise ship named Free Winds.
Oh, that's the only way you could see like the documents?
That's the only way you can get brought into OT8, I believe.
Oh, well shit. I would be so interested to like just be a fly on the wall in that like ritual or whatever the fuck they do on that boat. Oh my god, it'd be so crazy.
Yeah. So there are rumors that additional OT levels will be revealed at some point. It has to be the appropriate time in the future when we need them most.
Now's a good time. I
can't stress this. Yeah. I can't stress enough that there is so much damn information about this group. We could have done like a 5-part series if we wanted to break it all down. So if it really intrigues you, please do some independent research. But now let's jump into some of the controversies of the church. And so this one's pretty fun, and hopefully we don't result at the end of the sword on this one. So the church has an attack the attacker policy, which sounds pretty straightforward. The church has a reputation for hostile actions toward anybody who criticizes it in any public forum.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sorry, Tobin. I might have sank the Camp Strange raft here.
It's okay.
We'll come back with a podcast called Strange Camp. And any negative press has been attacked with retaliation lawsuits and public counter accusations of personal wrongdoing. Many critics have also reported they were subject to threats and harassment in their own private lives.
Yeah, it's called squirreling, right?
I don't know what the term is. Sounds right.
That's where they fucking like show up at your house and then like fucking threaten to ruin your life or like protest. They like follow you around and like they just fucking like try to ruin your life. It's really weird.
Well, come find me. I'm off the map, baby. You can't find me. So the organization's actions reflect a formal policy for dealing with criticism instituted by L. Ron Hubbard called Attack the Attacker. These are the guidelines. Number 1, spot who is attacking us. Number 2, start investigating them promptly for felonies or worse using own professionalism, not outside agencies.
Oh.
Number 3, Double curve our reply by saying we welcome an investigation of them. Number 4, this is the best step. Start feeding lurid blood, sex, crime, actual evidence on the attackers and press.
What?
So now it's just like, yeah. So this is a quote from his actual release to the whole community of Scientology. Don't ever tamely submit to an investigation of us. Make it rough. Rough on attackers all the way. You can get reasonable about it and lose. Sure, we break no laws. Sure, we have nothing to hide. But, and that's in all capitals, but attackers are simply anti-Scientology propaganda agency, or simply an anti-Scientology propaganda agency. So far as we are concerned, they have proven that they want no facts and will only lie no matter what they discover. So, in all capitals, banish all ideas that any fair hearing is intended and start our attack with the first breath. Never wait. Never talk about us, only them. Use blood, sex, crime, get headlines. Don't use us. I speak from 15 years of experience in this. There has never yet been an attacker who was not reeking with crime. All we had to do was look for it and murder would come out. And that's from Attacks on Scientology, Hubbard Communications Office Policy Letter, February 25th, 1966.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's kind of hypocritical if you just think about like how they're like, they don't want to know the truth. They only like the lies. I'm like, you guys are fucking doing the same things. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So that's kind of nuts. And especially since I was like in 1966, it's like, I don't even want to think about what resources they have now to fucking ruin people's lives.
I bet they have so many drones.
Just drones on drones.
So now let's do a little timeline of Johnny Law getting upset. And I did cut this one a little shorter because, my God, it just kept going. So January 4th, 1963, more than 100 e-meters were seized by the U.S. Marshals at the Founding Church of Scientology building. The church was accused of making false claims that the devices effectively treated some 70% of all physical and mental illnesses.
Oh, shit. That's like, that's some FDA shit. You're going to get fined for that.
Yeah. So in 1978, L. Ron Hubbard was convicted by French authorities of engaging in fraud. We talked about it a little bit before.
Oh, yeah.
1988, the government of Spain arrested the Scientology president Huber Genst and 10 other members of the organization on various charges, including illicit association, fraud, and labor law violations. The Church of Scientology is the only religious organization in Canada to be convicted and charged of breaching the public trust. 2001, in France, several officials of the church were convicted of embezzlement. And this list literally just keeps going on about all these different laws that they've broken and gotten in trouble for.
And most of them are just like for profit. You can tell it's like fraud and like deceiving, and it's like it's all just when it comes down to it, it's all just for like money and power. You know what I mean? It's not even like
exactly
so weird.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and, to no surprise, we'll talk about some of the many famous celebrities who belong to the church. And this list includes Christy Allen, Juliette Lewis,
It's Christy Alley,
Danny Masterson.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Did I say Allen?
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, Allie. Danny Masterson, Elizabeth Moss, which I didn't know that one. Michael Pena, Laura Prepon, John Travolta, Charlie Manson. Oof, that's a rough one.
Scrub him from the list.
Yeah, I guess Charlie Manson, while he was in prison,
Oh.
said that he was a Scientologist, which honestly was probably him just being an asshole, which is great.
He was
I
just
love
trying to
that.
like get more press and shit like that. He liked irritating, I feel like.
They couldn't do anything to him.
Yeah.
Lisa Marie Presley, so Elvis's daughter, and of course Tom Cruise.
Tommy.
Now, the church is well known for having their members' backs and protecting them from any troubles they might get into. And it has also been said that during their auditing process, the church gets a lot of blackmail of the members and from their past and hold that against them and forcing them to stay a part of the church, which they do to increase the appeal and reputation of the church. Because being like, oh yeah, look at all these cool celebrities we have.
Yeah, of course.
So an ex-member named Spanky Taylor recalls what happens when you are not behaving as the church, not behaving how the church wants you to in the HBO documentary Going Clear, which is a really good documentary. Mm-hmm. So if you have access, watch that. Taylor recalls being sent to a rehabilitation project force, which she said was a prison camp for members who criticized the church. Taylor said that she was forced to do menial labor and only sleep a few hours a night and was also separated from her baby daughter since kids are seen as a distraction to their parents.
That's so fucked.
Yeah. One of the reasons I decided to finally cover this was this week, actually. That 70s show actor Danny Masterson was finally arrested for 3 charges of rape. This has actually been fairly well known for a while, but with the help of Scientology, Masterson had been able to avoid all the repercussions until now.
Oh wow.
So I don't know about you, but I remember years ago reading about all this terrible shit that he's done, but he's never really paid the price.
Yeah.
I also saw something about how he poisoned and killed one of the members of the band Mars Volta's dog.
What?
Yeah, I guess he did that too.
What the fuck?
But yeah, so finally that piece of shit's gonna be going to jail. What was his name in the show?
Hyde.
Yeah, he was the one with the curly hair, kind of an asshole in the show. So it turns out he was a real asshole in real life too. So again, we can literally go for hours about this stuff. Maybe we could do a part 2, but one of the biggest stories surrounding Scientology is Michelle Shelley Diane Misgrave. Is that how you say it?
Miscavige.
Miscavige?
Yeah, Miscavige.
Miscavige. The wife of the current leader of Scientology, David. And Shelley has not been seen by anybody since August of 2007. And she went missing after being publicly critical of the organization that her husband runs. And the worst part about this is that she was last seen in 2007, but she was not reported missing by her husband until the year 2013.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So that's the shady part. She went missing in 2007, and no report happened until 2013.
That's wild.
Yeah. Oh, and that's especially after she was being critical and kind of bashing Scientology.
Yeah.
So I guess at the end of the day, don't worry so much about life. Don't stress the small things, because soon your Thetan will leave your husk of a body. I don't fucking know anymore. It will leave the husk of your body and fly into a brand new one.
Exactly. And maybe you'll be the new Tom Cruise next, and you go jump on Oprah's couch, tell everybody you're in love.
You can run in every movie.
Yeah.
And dance.
You could ruin the Mummy if you want.
That's in his contract, right? He has to run and dance in every movie.
Probably. Anyway, well, yeah, like you said, there's so much information on Scientology. You could find a new section to talk about and go for hours and hours probably. That thing is so weird. But I think that concludes our episode for today. So I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And if you guys want any more information, go to campstrange.com and see all the hyperlinks for our social media. We also have merch. We have reviews if you want to leave one. And if you want to send us an email, send it to campstrangepodcast@gmail.com and we will respond. David, do you have anything else to say before we head out?
If you're going on a Tinder date, make sure you let your friends know their name, where you're going, just in case something bad happens.
Yeah, why not? I mean, no one's going anywhere now. We're all still stuck inside. But for when we get back to our normal lives and our Thetans are free.
Consider it.
And don't forget to stay strange.